The Stone and the Shadow. The wind was an ancient song in Ironholt, whistling through the mountain passes and rattling the siege-scarred gates. Commander Kaelen stood vigil atop the walls, his face a testament to years spent weathering not just the elements, but the relentless truth of existence. In Stillmera, life was bound by magic, and Kaelen, like all of Thornreach, understood its brutal honesty. The first law of magic stated it plainly. A parent ceased to age upon the birth of a living biological child, so long as at least one child remained alive. This promise of unnatural longevity was a double-edged blade throughout Stillmera. In some distant lands, rulers clutched at it, breeding endless lineages, hoping to defy time and death itself. They filled their halls with documented descendants, proclaiming their virility and their unbroken chain as proof of divine right. But Thornreach knew better. They held to the third law with grim reverence. The living chain bore a finite burden. An accumulation of descendants' heightened susceptibility to illness, emotional instability, and collapse when loss occurred. This was the strain. This was the cost of cheating nature. Longevity, here, was tolerated, not celebrated. It was a tool, not a divine right. Families commonly permitted only one recognized heir, allowing them to carry the weight of the parent's suspended life. Leadership turnover was expected and planned. Death, when it came, was a release, not a failure. Kaelen was 50 years past the age when most men of his stock began to slow. He moved with the quiet strength of a man in his prime, his shoulders broad, his eyes sharp. His 20-year-old son, Torin, was his single recognized heir. Torin's presence kept Kaelen bound to the mortal plane, yet ironically unbound from the swift decay of it. This morning, however, a different shadow lay heavy over Ironholt, not the shadow of an approaching storm, but the one of a small, frightened child. A new arrival, found abandoned near the eastern foothills. "Commander?" Jory, Kaelen's lieutenant, reported, his voice low. The child. It woke screaming. Not a child's scream, sir. A man's. Kaelen walked to the infirmary, the thick stone walls absorbing the faint, disquieting wails emanating from within. He pushed aside the heavy leather flap. On a cot, a boy no older than 6 thrashed in a feverish sleep. His small face was contorted, not in childish fear, but in a mask of profound grief, his brow furrowed with an adult's despair. "He's a witness," Kaelen stated, his voice flat. Jory nodded, his face pale. The second law of magic, the burden chain, was often overlooked or denied in other lands. It declared that enduring, fundamental emotional dispositions tended to predispose themselves downward along the chain. But sometimes, when the chain was strong and under immense duress, the parent felt the lives of all children. This was the weight of the witness. A child, usually rare, who felt the triumph, pain, suffering, and death of their parent. And sometimes the parent's pain was so great, it flowed into the child, overwhelming them. "His parents," Jory whispered. What could have happened to them? Kaelen stared at the child. He knew what had happened. Somewhere, a parent was likely suffering beyond measure. A parent whose emotional state, perhaps unchecked by the stoicism practiced in Thornreach, was now a psychic poison to their child. A parent who, perhaps, had too many descendants, or too few who understood the subtle, crushing weight of their prolonged existence. "He is a consequence," Kaelen said. "A living testament to a chain stretched too thin, too long, too burdened." He recalled the wisdom of his elders. Thornreach limited heirs not just to manage the third law's strain, but also to concentrate the second law's burden. A single, strong link could carry the weight, discipline to endure. A multitude of links, however, made the flow chaotic, unpredictable, and devastating. This child was the proof. "What do we do, Commander?" Jory asked, fear in his eyes. He imagined his own children, one day, bearing the full brunt of his service, his sorrows, his burdens. We care for him, Kaelen decided. We will raise him as one of our own. He will learn the discipline of Thornreach. He will learn to feel the pain, but not be consumed by it. He will learn to carry the burden, not to be broken by it. Kaelen looked at the small, writhing form. This child was a fragment of the wider world, a world obsessed with eternal life, heedless of the cost, a world that produced such suffering and then abandoned it at their gates. He reached out a calloused hand and gently, almost imperceptibly, touched the child's fevered brow. A jolt, a faint echo of profound sorrow, resonated through him. It was a fleeting, chilling whisper of a pain not his own, but now present within the walls of Ironholt. Thornreach did not fear death. They feared an unexamined life, one that created such echoes of suffering. This child would be a harsh teacher, and in Ironholt, lessons were learned, no matter the cost. The Wall of Fathers stood not just against the storms and raiders, but against the insidious, silent magic that threatened to unmake all of Stillmera from within. And this small, shuddering boy, burdened by an unseen parent's sorrow, was the newest stone in that wall,